Hello, this is Sophomore Astrology. My name is Sarah, and for this video, I'm going to talk about Scorpio Ascendant or the Scorpio Rising. Now, be sure to like, share, and comment on this video. Also, subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Instagram at Sophomore Astrology, and then you can also check out my website, sophomoreastrology.com. There you can message me for a natal chart reading if you would like me to do one on you. And then I also post a blog article. I try to post on Wednesdays about random spiritual stuff, so go ahead and check that out if you would like to read those. Now, to get into it, what is the ascendant sign? The ascendant sign is your mask. It's the mask you wear in front of others. It is also your externalized personality. It is the energy that people pick up when they first meet you. When people say, oh, you know, when I met you, I thought you were da-da-da-da, or when I met you, I thought you were this way, that way, and then they start to get to know you, and it might be different than what they thought before. The first initial impression that they have of you is your ascendant or your rising sign. I kind of use those words interchangeably, so yeah, there's that. And also, too, I want to say it's like when people say don't judge a book by its cover. The cover is the ascendant sign when it comes to someone's like birth chart, you know? So that in a nutshell is what the ascendant sign is. Now, how do you calculate the ascendant sign? It's fairly easy to calculate it. If you've also calculated your birth chart, it should also calculate your ascendant sign. You need to know your birth date and the city that you were born in, but you also need to know your time, the time that you were born, because the ascendant sign changes every 2 hours. So you need to get very specific about what time you were born. And the reason why you need to know that is because depending on when you were born, your ascendant sign might have like an earlier degree or it might have a later degree. So depending on where it falls, you could be like a solid Scorpio rising, or you can kind of trickle in and be more a Libra or more like a Sagittarius qualities with how you come off to people. So that's why it's important to kind of calculate your ascendant sign and really know what that is. Now, to kind of, after like you calculate your ascendant sign and, you know, you click on this video and you're trying to discover what a Scorpio ascendant is, you know, your ascendant sign puts all the other houses in its place, right? So, you know, first you have Scorpio in the first house, then you have Sagittarius in the second house, in the third house you have Capricorn, in the fourth house you have Aquarius, the fifth house, you have Pisces, and then Aries is in the sixth house, Taurus is in the seventh, Gemini is in the eighth house, in the ninth house, you have Cancer, in the 10th house, you have Leo, and then Virgo is in the 11th house, and then last but not least, Libra is in the 12th house. Now, that's like the setup of all the houses for people who have their Scorpio rising. Now, a couple of celebrities I want to mention that have this placement are celebrities such as Jaden Smith, James Franco, Prince, Tyrese Gibson, Gwen Stefani, Lana Del Rey, and then Vin Diesel. So, to the best of my knowledge, I got it wrong in the Virgo rising video, but these celebrities have their Scorpio ascendant. Now, to kind of, I kind of want to mention a couple of houses. I don't want to, I don't go into every single one, but I do my best to explain the ones that I do explain. So, when someone has their Scorpio in the first house, you know, their Scorpio ascendant, Scorpio rising, it's almost like they're a child of Pluto, you know, and it's kind of like the energy that kind of comes off and emits off of them to other people, or what other people can readily see. It's kind of like the same energy of the god of the underworld. It's very deep energy. It's very dark energy. We're thinking about think of when you first meet, say if a person was embodied the energy of a scorpion, you know, it's very intimidating. It could be very it feels like that person can be very lethal. I feel like people are very intimidated by people who have this placement because it's like energy such as sex, death, regeneration, All these energies are kind of coming off to someone who has their Scorpio in the first house. So they could be very intimidating by their presence. You know, people could they could get triggered just by being in their presence, because that's what Scorpio is as a sign. It is fixed water, so it causes people to really feel triggered emotionally, because maybe the darkest parts of themselves is being reflected by the Scorpio rising. And you're just, Scorpio rising, they might just be an innocent bystander, but honestly, that mirror of them being able to reflect the dark energies off of other people will make them a walking trigger. So that's the unfortunate thing. The beautiful thing about Scorpio rising is that they definitely have this very transformative energy that really emits off of them. So there is that too. Now, the next house I want to talk about is the third house. Now, so Capricorn is in the third house. So this energy could be very oppressive energy, especially when someone's learning. So these people, they could be tactile learners, where they kind of need to learn how to like use their hands in order to, and really like dive into something and really use their physical body, use their hands to really learn something. You know, maybe they need to, like, as a kid, if they need to learn 2 + 2, they need 2 blocks there and 2 blocks there, and really count the 4 blocks with their hands in order to really understand that concept, right? I also want to say too, it's like when it comes to learning, especially as a child, learning can be very exhausting and feel very oppressive to them. It's honestly like it's almost difficult for them to learn if it's not fun, if it doesn't kind of come off a little bit livened, because education, especially as a child, can seem so burdensome and so heavy that there is a need to kind of lighten it up and make it fun, So yeah, there's that. Another thing is that they have Aquarius in the 4th house. Now, so the thing about Aquarius being in the 4th house is that the 4th house is all about Cancer. The 4th house is all about the mother, and it's the 4th house is moon energy. It's feminine, and oh my gosh, I can't speak. It's feminine, and it's maternal, and it's nurturing. So, and it's also like how someone feels at home. And I kind of feel like Aquarius in the 4th house, to say in a nutshell, maybe their mother did things in a way that is very unusual or weird. Maybe they were raised by a mom that was considered an oddball, or, things like that. Or it could be like, maybe to them, feminine energy feels better if it's just kind of a little weird. Maybe the way that they nurture people might be different than what other people might imagine. They might have more of a water bearer spirit when it comes to how they nurture themselves and other people too, where it's more like a fixed air energy, where it's more like they're a solid person to go to for advice. Also too, I feel like with Aquarius in the 4th house, these people are very comfortable with very like weird, oddball, different people. Aquarius are the aliens, and they feel at home with people who are authentically themselves. I feel like people because Scorpio rising can be such it's a placement, or it's also an energy that kind of like emits the darkest parts of other people. I feel like Scorpio risings can definitely understand people's dark energy very well. So if someone is fake and they're trying to hide their shadow, I kind of feel like a Scorpio rising will be able to feel it, because they feel most comfortable with people who are authentically themselves. And if they're not being authentically themselves, that Scorpio rising is not going to want to mess with it at all. The next house I'm going to talk about is that they have Pisces in the 5th house. Now, the 5th house is all about like that childlike, playful energy. It's drama. It's about children. It's definitely about the limelight and, kind of what makes you shine as a person. And the reason why I talk about the 5th house is because, people want to talk about dating, right? So I feel like a Scorpio rising really loves to date, because dating is an experience for them. They love the feeling that they get when they date and they flirt and everything like that. It's definitely a whole like ethereal, dreamy experience as well. I also want to say too that maybe a Scorpio rising might like be on Tinder and might be swiping left or right, and might go on a date when they're feeling low, because dating to them is an experience. So they really love the feeling of dating. They just like the experience of it all, because it just feels good to them. You know, it's an escape. It's a fantasy, you know, so they definitely like that. But on the flip side too, they have Taurus in the 7th house. So the 7th house is all about like relationships, you know. It's about long-term relationships, whether they're platonic or whether they're romantic. It's also about business partnerships as well. So this is kind of a cool placement for Scorpio risings, because they really attract solid, stable relationships. You know, they really attract those like really stable, but also too stubborn people in their life that really teach them lessons for a long-term period of time. You know, because this is about long-term relationships. You know, these are not the relationships that turn over quickly. It doesn't have a high turnover rate when it comes to relationships, because Taurus is a fixed earth energy. So it's a very physically stable relationship, you know, that they could really attract into their, you know, into their environment. But like I said, because Taurus can be a very stubborn sign, they could really attract very stubborn people in their life that are really in their, like, you know, in their life. And with also being a Scorpio rising, Scorpio is also a fixed stubborn energy and being stubborn in its emotions. And Taurus is kind of stubborn in its ways and the way it kind of goes about doing things in this physical world, you know, behaviors and patterns that they have. So, I mean, there's that, you know, I feel like that's why they attract a lot of Taurus-like people, you know, because it's like they're seeking those stable relationships, you know, because Scorpio really needs that stable energy. And I really feel like Taurus is a sign that gives that to Scorpio rising people. Now, the next thing I kind of want to talk about is that Leo is in the 10th house. Now, the 10th house is all about career and legacy. The 10th house is also like the 10 of Pentacles if you're into tarot, you know, it's about some, like, what, if you left today, I mean, if you weren't here tomorrow, what would you leave behind? You know, what would people say? What have you worked towards to really like affect other people? And when someone has their Leo in the 10th house, right? In a nutshell, you could say these people might be very famous with what they do, you know, because Leo is in the limelight. It's very out there. It's very seen. It's the sun. It's solar energy. So it's kind of like whatever these people do for a career, it will be seen. It will be on display. You know, and the 10th house is also about reputation too, because there could be a reputation of being a very self-centered person, but it also could be a reputation of being a very playful, very charming person when it comes to career, you know. And I definitely feel like people with Leo in the 10th house, it's like that's a lucky placement to kind of have, you know, with, honestly, in a nutshell, I kind of feel like you can think of like an actor or someone who is a, I don't know, any profession that is kind of like out there. Like I'm thinking TV, television, singing, you know, they could be just a politician, like anything that requires someone to really have a lot of eyes on them. Or it could just be simply as that, like, because I don't know, Scorpio rising or Scorpio ascendant people, they come off wanting to, obviously being very private, secretive, mysterious people. So maybe the only thing about them that might be in the limelight might be their career, their reputation, what they built. You know, that might be the thing that like people are definitely remembered, because like a Leo is like a personality that you kind of remember a lot. So I kind of feel like that's saying Leo in the 10th house is like saying someone's career will definitely be either very well seen and or very remembered. It'll be etched into your brain. So I kind of feel like that's why Scorpio rising people, you know, a lot is on the shoulders, because whatever they kind of leave behind is definitely going to be remembered. The last thing I want to talk about is that they have Libra in the 12th house, right? So Libra in the 12th is like someone's undoing. And it's also kind of like it also is a bridge to understanding someone's past life and what they were in a past life. Because I kind of feel like 12th house, it's like, okay, so you're going to explore Venus energy, right? And it's also about like, I'm sorry, let me correct what I was saying. Libra in 12th house, it's like the undoing will be being too harmonious, you know? Sometimes life is not about walking around eggshells. Sometimes you have to step on those eggshells, and it just is what it is. You know, I think a lot of the time, I think society wants to push that we all be very careful about what we say and do to make sure that we keep vibes right, you know? Like, there are some people, sometimes we need to have bad vibes. It can't be good vibes only all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we get triggered as people. We need to know that we get triggered in order to heal. We need to know what our wounds are. Sometimes we need to scream for help. You know, we can't always ask nicely for the things that we want. You know, sometimes, you know, it just is what it is. I'm not trying to promote toxic behavior, but in a way, being too harmonious for the sake of keeping yourself quiet and making yourself small. I kind of feel like in so many ways, what I'm trying to say, there's a difference between being humble and confident versus being arrogant, you know. And I kind of feel like maybe in past lives, Libras definitely have learned how to be humble, but sometimes that could go in the negative route, and someone can be too quiet or too small, or make themselves small to make other people comfortable. And sometimes you're going to make people uncomfortable. It just is what it is. You being you is going to make other people uncomfortable. And I kind of feel like that's what a Scorpio rising really needs to learn, is that sometimes you need to make a scene. Because I think people equate like being small and kind of maybe putting yourself down or not being your true authentic self is a way of kind of like making other people comfortable. And I think with Libra energy just feels so comfortable with when everyone else is comfortable that they will give up themselves in order to kind of make the boat go along and float as it is. But it's kind of like, you know, sometimes there's a need to kind of make waves. And I'm speaking to people with this placement, you know, because I don't want just everybody to just act buck wild out here and just start acting like a fool. That's not what I'm saying. I'm speaking to people who kind of make themselves small or try to make other people feel comfortable 24/7 at the sake of kind of losing themselves, because Libra is the opposite energy of Aries. Aries is very much themselves. They step into that I energy. I am. You know, and Libra is kind of like the receiving energy of that, of understanding that it's about others and relationships and how other people feel and how other people are kind of like ebbing and flowing with you, right? But it's kind of like, I think Scorpio risings really need to learn that sometimes you just need to just let go and say fuck other people and just be you, you know, because I think this world thinks that humility equates to making other people comfortable, and that's not true. Being confident is being humble in the fact that you understand your own strengths, your own weaknesses, you know who you are, and you allow yourself to be that, but you're not putting yourself on a pedestal. You're not making yourself more important than other people. And I really feel like Scorpio risings really need to understand that, because they could be so giving of themselves, but there's a need to kind of also understand that, like, it's okay to kind of make yourself be seen and to be heard. That could be definitely someone's undoing with this sign. So yeah, that's like kind of like my take on Scorpio Ascendant, Scorpio risings. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have a Scorpio rising and this resonates with you, of course. And if this was like a different take on maybe what you've heard before from other people. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed it and you have a good rest of your day.